Hey everybody out there in the Lacrosse world, Coach Brian from MinLax.com. We're working on our top string with our lime green proton. Now we're going to go ahead and start doing our sidewalls. So I've got two strings, they'll go about 26, 28 inches long. You never want to run out. And now we're going to go ahead and tie a knot on the end of one of them, and we'll do that on the end of the other one. So as you can see, I've got that here. So you can kind of bend it around, pull it up, and tighten that off. Pull that tight, try and leave a small tail there. We don't want to waste any string. We're going to go ahead and do that to one end of each string. I've already done it to the other, so I kind of skipped ahead there. Now we're going to go ahead and start attaching the mesh to the sidewall. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to skip this first hole here on the side because the mesh doesn't really line up to it very well. So, and again, going down the other side, same thing. Skipping that first hole, coming down here to the second hole. So I'm going to start off bringing the string in through the side hole, pull it all the way till the knot catches, and now I'm going to come in through this first hole in the mesh coming down and pull that around. Now I'm going to bring this into the string, back under that knot, and into that same hole. We're going to pull that around, and now I'm going to come back in through the same loop we did in the mesh. I'm going to come under the string I've got going here. Pull this through, make sure the string doesn't get twisted, and that's going to cinch this down and pull that over to the side. And again, you guys are looking at the back of the head, I'm looking at the front of the head. So now we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So gotta keep a mirror image, want to keep it nice and even. So again, we're skipping this first hole, coming into the second hole here, pulling that through till my knot catches up, and then I'm going to go into this next whole row in the diamonds, pull that around, and again trying to get the string twisted, and now I'm going to come under this knot, back through that same hole, start pulling that through, again don't let it get twisted, and now I'm going to come back through the same hole in the mesh. I'm going to go inside this little collar we made, and we're going to pull this through, and that's going to tighten up just like the other side. Get that nice and snug, pull that mesh, get it nice and even. Alright, so now we're ready to start doing the rest of the sides. So I'm going to come in, grab my string, and again you guys are looking at the back of the head, so I'm going to come from the inside and come through the mesh, and now I'm going to bring it around the plastic in through the next hole coming down, and now it's going to come, I'm going to kind of get a little bit of a gap in there, and I'm going to bring the string back to the same hole and through this loop. We're going to pull it, and that's called an interlocking knot. If we didn't do that, we just kind of looped it through, then the mesh is going to slide up and down, and that's no good. We don't want that. Now, I'm going to go ahead, pull that tight, and again try and pull down the mesh a little bit, kind of line stuff up. Alright, and now we're going to flip it around, go to the other side. I like to do 1 or 2 knots on each side, and then move on. So, once again, you guys are looking at the back. I'm going to bring the string from the inside closest to me through this next row of diamonds, keeping that string from getting twisted. It's going to come around the plastic, through this next open hole. I'm going to lift up the string a little bit, slide the string back through that same diamond, but under this loop, and now we're going to pull this tight, and we're starting to get the top of our pocket put in. Now, let's pop over back to the other side. As you guys can see, this next row of mesh isn't going to line up with the next hole in the stick. So I'm going to go ahead and double it. And so it's going to come down to there. Now there's some fancy ways to do it. Right now we're just going to do it a pretty simple way. So I'm just going to kind of, again, come in with the string from the inside of the head. You guys are looking at the back. I'm going to come into this row of diamonds and pull it through. Now instead of coming around the plastic and into one of these holes, what I'm going to do is wrap it around the mesh so it's back on the side closest to me, and now I'm going to go into this next row of diamonds, coming in through there and pull the string around. Again, just kind of twisting it to get any of the kinks out of the string. And now I'm going to go ahead and string this to this next open hole in the sidewall. So we're going to take our string around the plastic, bring it through the hole, kind of pull that through. And again, I want to leave a little bit of a gap here so I can come in through that diamond, under this little loop, and pull that tight. Now you're going to want to really make sure we get all this extra slack out of here, so kind of pulling that up and down, teasing it through, and trying to line that mesh up. Now I'm going to go over to the other side of the head, and we're going to do the same thing. So, we'll spin this around, and again I'm going to bring the string from the inside. I'm looking at the inside of the head, you guys are looking at the back of it. It's going to come through this next row of diamonds, and again, getting the twist out, and since we're doubling this row up, instead of going around the plastic, I'm just going to go around the mesh, bring it inside. Now it's going to come into the next row of diamonds, in through here, and now we're going to come around the plastic, in through our next available hole, kind of pull that through, and now we'll go back to the same row of diamonds, but kind of under this little loop. Get that through there, and again we're going to pull that tight, kind of wiggling up and down, line up that mesh, and get all the slack out of there. We want these to be fairly tight. Alright, so now we've got the top part of our pocket taken form. We're ready to get the actual pocket where that ball is going to sit. So, once again, adjust the camera here. Sorry about that, some technical difficulties. Okay, so alright, so as you can see, this next row of mesh isn't going to line up with this hole either. And if we want to make some space in here, we're going to go ahead and double this one as well. So, I'm just going to bring my string from the inside. I'm going to come out. Again, you guys are looking at the back of the head. So this is going to come through this next open row of diamonds. And again, we're going to wrap it around the mesh, coming back inside. And now I'm going to come into the next available hole, right through here. Pull this around, and now we're going to do our knot onto the plastic. So this is going to come around the side, and we're going to come into this next open hole here and through. Going to pull that in, and once again I'm going back into the same row of diamond in the mesh, in through that hole, but kind of inside this collar. Pull that down, and now we're going to tighten that off. And once again, we're going to want to pull the mesh down so that's staying nice and even, and again, pull that slack through. You'll have to pull it a couple times sometimes. Alright, so now we've got that, and it's starting to get a little bit of a gap in there, that bag. That's where that ball's going to sit. So now we're going to flip over to the other side. There we are. And once again, this is going to double because that's what we do on the other side. It's important we always do a mirror image of everything. So again, I come in from the inside of the head. I'm going to come to this next hole down the row of diamonds. Bring that around, and since we're doubling, we just bring it around the mesh, in through this next hole in the row. Again, get any kinks out of there if you have them. And now we're going to come in through the next hole that's available on our sidewall. So that's going to be right here in the plastic. That string is going to come through. Going to pull it most of the way through, and now it's going to come back through that same row of diamonds and under our little collar here, and we're just going to pull that through nice and tight. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm just doing the exact same thing over and over and over. Really easy. When you first look at it, it's like, oh man, how do I do it? It's not so tough at all. We just do the same thing over and over and over. So again, now that we're doubling through here, this pocket's really starting to take shape and start to see where that ball is going to fit. Alright, so we're almost done. A couple more of these to go. So So once again, I'm trying to adjust my camera here. Alright, so as we're getting down here to the end, this next hole in the mesh is going to go ahead and line up. That'll be okay with where we want our pocket to be. So we're just going to come through again from the inside. You guys are looking at the outside. We're going to come out of this next row of diamonds, and then we're going to bring it around the side here and in through the hole. And then I'm going to come back to that same row of diamonds, but I need to be inside our little collar. To get that interlocking knot, pull that there to lock the mesh to that hole in the plastic. I just kind of wiggle that up and down, and again I want to line up my mesh, keep that pocket going there. So now we're going to flip over to the other side. There we go. And once again, coming from the inside of the head, I'm going to come out this next row in the diamonds from the mesh, excuse me. I'm going to come, trying to hit the camera, and then I bring it around the plastic. It's going to go in through this next hole available in the sidewall. And again, we're going to come out through the same hole in the mesh, but under this little collar we just made. So come through there. Now we're just going to pull that through. We're going to tighten up, get that slack out of there, and there we go. So we've got a couple of those done. Looks like we've got one more on each side left, and we're ready to tie it down. So we're going to come in. Again, this next hole is going to line up where we want to be. One row in the mesh to the hole in the plastic. So again, coming from the inside of the mesh into this next row of diamonds, pull that through. Now I'm going to bring this around the plastic, in through this first hole available, back through the mesh, and through this hole. And I'm just going to pull the string through and tighten that up. Alright, now let's spin it around, try the other side. Alright, so once again I'm going to start from being on the inside of the mesh, coming through the next open hole in the mesh, if I can find it. There it is. Bring that through, get any twists out. And again, this is going to come around through this next available hole here in the plastic. I'm going to go ahead and pull that through. I'm going to come out through the same diamond in the mesh. But it's important again that I'm under this little collar. If I don't go under that collar, then it's not an interlock, and it's just not as good. So again, I want to tighten that up, kind of pull this up and down, pull that mesh around, get it where you want it, get the slack out of there. Alright, so as you guys can see, if I'm getting my camera angle right, we're starting to get a pocket in here. Now that's going to form a lot more once we get a ball in there and really start working with the pocket pounder. But right now, we're ready to finish off this sidewall, and on the other side, so we'll just get our last knot. So for this one, I'm just going to come down into our last row of the mesh here, and instead of going, so if you notice, I came from the outside to the outside rather than curling around on the inside. So we're just bringing it right through there, so you guys can see, and now I'm just going to come from the inside of the plastic through this last hole, pull that string through, get that tight, and I'm going to go ahead and tie this off. And again, same knot we used as above, same thing on our top string. Just going to curl this around, start bringing the top end through, and for me, I like to kind of pinch off where I want it to be held tight. So that's going to be right here. And I just pull through, kind of keep my finger holding that knot in place. Get that nice and tight. We want this knot as close to the plastic as possible to keep this whole thing tight. So, once again, one last knot to go, and we're all done with our sidewalls. Awesome. So, again, from the outside this time, completely different from how we did the rest of these. We're going into this next row in the mesh, right in through there. Gonna pull that through. Alright, and now, with the string on the inside, I'm going to come into this last hole in the bottom, from the inside of the head, pull this through. There we go. Pull that tight, get the slack out of there. Now once again, I'm just going to tie this off. I'll try and do it on camera, because that's the whole point of the video tutorial, I guess. So, we're going to spin this knot around, get the tail in through there, and once again, I like to pinch right about here, hold this knot, and then keep my fingernail on that, pull it tight. Tighten this knot up, finish everything, and it looks like we've got two sidewalls. Pretty cool. If you guys were keeping up with me, then you've got a head that's ready for bottom string and some sidewall and some shooters. And if you're a little bit slower with the pace, well, then you got some more work to do. So that's our two sidewalls, and this has been Coach Brian from Lax signing off. Thanks.